It's very flexible, it's very scalable, and most importantly, if I develop something and I get hit by a bus, there's a million other people that can go in straight there and know what they're doing because the platform's open source and it's open to everybody. It's universal to everybody. Whereas if we build a custom solution, and then I get hit by a bus, no one else apart from me knows how to work it. Welcome back to Fly High Media Talks, the show where we give out an immense level of value on all topics marketing. So today, websites. It's also part of marketing. So yeah, let's jump into it. So we always get a load of questions and people querying why we use WordPress so much for all of our web development work or advising clients where to move websites. And
why are we WordPress fanboys?
Why are we WordPress fanboys, basically? And the reason for that is they're industry leaders. So I think it's estimated like over 20% of the entire internet is built on WordPress, whether that's native or people using things like builders or custom-made themes in some cases. For WordPress powers, I don't want to be wrong, but something like 18 million websites, which is 20% of the internet. And it's very flexible, it's very scalable, and most importantly, if I develop something and I get hit by a bus, there's a million other people that can go in straight there and know what they're doing because the platform's open source and it's open to everybody. It's universal to everybody. Whereas if we build a custom solution, and then I get hit by a bus, no one else apart from me knows how to work it, which means the client is left with a little bit of trouble in their hands. So yeah, today we're going to go over a few points in terms of why we use WordPress so much, what we advise on people using WordPress, and what the benefits are behind it. Maybe we'll touch on some drawbacks because, as with anything, there are drawbacks. But yeah, we're just going to go through a few points to make you aware of why you need to be using WordPress if you're a first-time sort of website shopper or you're looking to upgrade. So do you want to jump into, Matt? What's your thoughts?
So I think the first thing is ease of use. So there's tons and tons of training out there. If you're getting a website developed from an agency, then the crossover period, it's easy to get trained in WordPress. You know, there's lots of resources out there, but also if you sit down or hire a developer for an hour, they can teach you, the basics and the outlines of how to use it. You may not need to do any major changes, but even to just use the blogging feature, that's easy. Well, I mean, it's you can be shown it in 10 minutes and you'd know exactly how to do it. So
yeah,
in that respect, it's really easy. The handover, that's really easy. You just go into the back end of the website, you log in. We've been dealing with a site recently, haven't we, that was purely built from HTML coded. Yeah. That used to be good a while back.
Well, it used to be the only thing a while back. Like horse carriages used to be a good while back because there was no cars. But yeah, we recently had the issue with a potential client where we had a bit of a problem where their website was purely HTML, which meant that it was if you wanted to make any changes, it was always code. Like all of it was coded, hard coded within the system. So if you wanted to make any changes, it had to be a specialist to deal with them.
Exactly. So if as a marketing agency, so what we'd have to do is, because we don't necessarily want to touch a custom built website, we'd have to fill in everything and then hand it over to their development team. So it's more difficult.
And they didn't have a development team.
No, they didn't. That's the issue. So you'd have to pay development fees. It'd take a lot longer, things like that.
And whereas if more chances can go wrong.
More chances can go wrong. If you want to work with a Facebook ad agency, for example, you want to install, like if you want to install a pixel or something like that, then again that can take longer. Whereas in WordPress, you can install plugins that that can help you insert code, because sometimes, even for me, like I find it difficult to insert stuff in the editor, but I just use a plugin that puts it in. I think that moves me on to my next point of plugins. There's literally a plugin for everything, absolutely everything, and the sky's the limit with WordPress as well, in my opinion. So you can do e-commerce stores, membership websites, social networking websites.
Essentially membership websites,
so there's tons of different avenues you can go down. What other types of website that have we worked with?
I would predominantly work with, we have 3 offerings, don't we? So we have the brochure website, which is basically brand awareness, e-commerce, which is selling products and services directly online, and membership. Like I say, membership is very, very interesting because it is something that it's not exclusive to WordPress, but there are so many options within WordPress. Like at the moment, we are building, I'm not sure when this is coming out, but at the time of recording this, we are building a training platform for one of our clients. And what that allows them to do is have that training platform and put out gated content, which means that people have to go through a pay gate to get to that content, and that's training that they would normally charge for on a one-to-one basis, but they want to do so flexibly where they don't have to go and see a client. They can just give them access for the month, and then that client can pass that training over to their employees to obviously train them on the given topic, and that essentially makes them money from day one, because when they invest into that site, it's something that actually generates them income directly through the website. There's a pay gate, they go to it. If the client wants to sign up, they sign up for the plan, and they go through to watch the content. We've built several others in the past as well, and they've done very successfully for various sort of coaching training businesses. But yeah, it's not something that's overly complicated in terms of sets. Like, I don't want to sort of downplay sort of the size of it, but it's not something that has to be custom built. It's not something that you have to spend 40 or 50,000 pounds for research and development and things like that. People forget that WordPress actually powers quite a lot of websites. Like I think some like Nike or National Geographic websites even are built like purely on WordPress. There's a lot that goes into them, of course, but they are built on WordPress. People tend to think that WordPress is sort of like for a teenage blogger to sort of create a blog, or like an up and coming fashion blogger. Well, that's what it started as.
Potentially WordPress.com. So there is a difference.
There is a difference.
Do you want to explain?
Yeah, we'll jump into that in a sec. We'll jump into that in a sec. But yeah, I think there needs to be more of awareness of how powerful WordPress is, and with the different plugins, open source software, and integrations that you can add into it, you can literally make anything with WordPress. Just because of the fact it's WordPress, I think there's a negative connotation attached to it in terms of blogging. And that brings me on to my next point. There are actually 2 different types of WordPress. There's WordPress.com and there's WordPress.org. What WordPress.com is a subscription service, essentially, where you need to subscribe, pay a monthly fee, host it in there, and you essentially get a blog with very limited styling, very limited features, very limited. There's some plugins and widgets in there, but they're nowhere near as powerful enough as WordPress.org. What WordPress.org is not predominantly a blogging platform. It's a website system. It's a content management system. It's self-hosted, meaning you have to have hosting for it, either with GoDaddy, Namecheap, or flyhighweb.com. Hosting packages are available on there now. Quick plug for a second business.
Quick plug.
But yeah, what that essentially is open source software. So they can't charge for it. There's nothing to pay to WordPress.org. You only pay to host it on a server, which is basically like storage. And then you pay for any premium plugins inside, but you can do quite a lot with not having paid anything. And a lot of the time people tell us they have a WordPress website, and we're like, okay, cool. And then we do a second take, like, wait, what do you mean? Do you have WordPress.com or the open source? And then we sort of find out one of the 2 routes. But there is a big difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. So one is predominantly blogging. There's not much customization there. The other one is you can literally take it from the base and make anything from it, whether you're making a custom theme, whether you are using page builders like Elementor, or, well, it's not worth mentioning any others because they're all awful. Elementor is the only good one. I can see you smart there because you used to do stuff on Visual Composer, didn't you? But
yeah, I mean,
but then I came along and straightened things up.
Well, there's pros and cons to both, and there's pros and cons to both. Well, there is lots of different page builders out there, you know.
There is, yeah.
But we found that Elementor works really well, and it works really well.
Elementor, if you're listening, we need a discount or a affiliate code, because we
refer that. Yeah,
we refer them way too much. We do actually have a unlimited license with them, so shouldn't be complaining. But we the good thing is we stick to we stick to what we preach. So everything that we tell our clients to use, whether it's we're doing it ourselves for them or whether we just advise them out of the goodness of our own heart, like we are here, we practice everything we preach. So every plugin, every integration, or every page builder or whatnot that we tell people to use, we use them ourselves on our site. Our site is entirely built on WordPress. Every element within it is built on WordPress. The only thing that's not built on WordPress is our dedicated hosting site, but that's because of things like
Payments.
domains and payments and things like that has to be hooked up. That has to be connected to an actual system that deals with domains and all the sort of legislation around that, which I don't want to get into because it's all boring sort of background stuff. But that can be achievable with WordPress as well. Just we took a different route because it was more niche.
Every plugin that we use for clients, we test that on our own website for at least a month. So we make sure that we check out loads of different security plugins. So I can't remember. We use 2 at the moment. One's
we have a premium one, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, so we've got a premium one at the moment. I can't remember what that's called, but we also use WordFence. That's really worthwhile installing if you can.
It's very interesting to see how many failed spam login attempts you get to your website, and WordPress can tell you that, especially with plugins like Matt just mentioned.
Yeah.
WordFence, it will tell you somebody from Tunisia, for example, at this time from this IP address tried to access your site and failed. Without those, you don't know about it. You don't see how many times somebody's trying to sort of hack your website or whatnot. But also you don't see the sheer scale of it. But what it also does is helps prevent it. Which brings me on to my next point, actually, security.
Yeah.
Big. It's not a flaw. But with having a WordPress website comes responsibility, and that means updates and things like that. Whenever we hand over a WordPress website to a new client, we always tell them that they have to keep it updated and updated at all times in terms of WordPress version and the several plugins in there. So the plugins are basically third-party software that's developed by other people that work within WordPress. But what they do is when they sometimes bring out updates, so newer versions of this software, the older ones can become compromised in terms of security. So if you create a WordPress website and didn't update any plugins or any of the WordPress versions to newest ones for a year, there is a higher chance in terms of there being a security risk than if you kept it up to date. So we actually have a manual that we send out to all clients in terms of how to keep your website up to date, how to make sure all the housekeeping is done. Alternatively, you can hand it over to us and we can maintain that. But that's something that's very, very important. There's many plugins and integrations, like Matt just mentioned. WordFence is one of them that help clients and website owners prevent the bad things from happening.
Most clients prefer the hands-off approach because you're busy. If you've got a job out in the field, you don't want to be worried
out in the field.
Well, maybe you're a PE teacher, I don't know. If you're out in the field working, consulting, I don't know. If you're out doing things during the day, you don't want to be updating or remembering to update plugins. You just want your site to be there and forget about it. And then just have your emails being completely flawless. So people tend to prefer the offhand approach.
Yeah, definitely.
So with WordPress, that's what we do, and that's what we specialize in terms of hosting. So that's again quite another good plug.
Yeah. Another point I want to jump on is scalability. So a lot of the time we see it with the amount of people that come to us with Wix and Weebly websites, and I can't believe I just said these 2 words on our podcast because that's a trigger word for me.
We did do a blog about.
We did do a blog. Yeah. We did a podcast, I think, about it as well. Third podcast we did, I think, back in February or March. I can't remember. Going back and checking, let us know. Yeah. But a lot of people come to us and say, oh, they have a Wix website or a Weebly website. We want to move over to WordPress because we want to add a few bits and edit it. Can you move over to WordPress? And we're like, no, we can't move over to WordPress. You can't move an engine from a Ferrari into a Skoda Fabia. That's not how it works. You need to sell the car and buy a new one. And it's the same
opposite way around.
Well, whichever way around, really. I don't think there's anyone who has a WordPress website wants to downgrade it to a Wix website. Then think those people exist right amongst us. But yeah, no, the answer is it's not really cross-compatible between platforms. If you need to move the website onto WordPress, you literally have to start from scratch. Whereas if you have a website on WordPress, which is very, very basic, 3 pages or something for a small business, when your business scales, not if, when, because obviously that's what you're striving towards, you're going to want to expand it, you're going to want to add more features, add more users, change things up, make it a bit more authoritative, potentially add a store, add a membership area. If you're on WordPress, all of that is possible. There's pretty much no roof when it comes to WordPress. Like I mentioned, like National Geographic and a few other big companies are using WordPress, and they wouldn't be using it if it wasn't fit for purpose for large companies as well as small ones. So the point I'm trying to make is if you start off with WordPress, you're never going to have to change into a different system or anything, because everything is upgradable. You can always add stuff on, make changes, whether it's yourself or whether it's a developer. You'll never have to move over to a different website because you pretty much can handle everything from within there. Whereas if you start off sort of on the cheap side, I'm just going to make a Squarespace site, and then you need something more advanced, you're left with a bit of a problem, because there's a roof, and instead of going above that, upgrading stuff, you literally just have to come back down, spend all that money again, reinvest, and then start from scratch and scale it there. So scalability is a big factor. We've had a few clients that came to us either with websites that we've built in the past for upgrades to turn it into an e-commerce store, for example, or a membership site. Likewise, we've had customers that have come with their own website they've had built before, and they were built on WordPress, and we were able to say, well, yeah, for what we need to do, we can use this current website to scale it up to get you to that goal. Obviously, coupled with like SEO, for example, and things like that. So yeah.
So that takes on to another point. So SEO as well. So, well, it's quite argued in the SEO community whether WordPress actually is better for SEO. In my opinion, it is, because the tools that are on the plugins and tools available for you on WordPress, they aid and abet, like they help you with the SEO so much. Like Yoast, I can't praise that enough. You know, it's the SEO holy grail. SEO Yoast Premium, you know, that's such a good plugin. There's Auto Optimize, W3 plugin profiler, so it just checks like where the mass of the like the biggest files on the site and biggest plugins, which ones to close off. Image optimization, you know, I wouldn't even know how to do that on a custom HTML website.
So you'd have to optimize each image individually and then upload it back in.
So I presume you'd have to download each image and then re-upload. So on WordPress, to compress the size of the images, all you need to do is download the plugin and it does it for you. Once you've installed it and it's run, every time you upload an image, it optimizes that automatically. Yoast, if you don't really know what it is when you're going through writing a content, or if you're writing a landing page or you're writing a blog, it goes through it automatically and it gives you like a traffic light system. So if it's red, you're not including enough things that is advised to get better search rankings, and then if it goes to amber, you get in there, and then if it goes to green, you're closer to having a good quality.
It's basically like a little mental to show you how you're doing in terms of ranking SEO. It also shows you things like keywords. So if you put in a keyword of training and there's not a single word, the word training is not written out like at least once in the whole page, it will highlight it for you saying, hey, you're trying to rank for the word training, or training Manchester, for example, and you haven't said that in your copy at least once. And it's basically like having an SEO expert next to you, pointing out some mistakes. And there's a limit to what you can do with that, but obviously it can help you if you're starting out, basically.
For example, like Wix, I've never written a blog on Wix, for example, but as far as I'm aware, you don't have that traffic light system, and you definitely don't have that for a HTML site. And the great thing is also you get to preview the metadata as well. So at the bottom of the screen, when you type in the new title tags, it does it in real time, so it looks like the Google search results. So I can't praise Yoast enough. If you want to check out Yoast as well, they do tons of free resources as well on their blog, webs, and on the website, YouTube channel, that kind of thing. And get on their email marketing list too.
We don't get paid for any of this.
We don't get paid for that. There's another video with we're either going to post it before this or after this, but there's tons of SEO plugins for WordPress. Another one to mention is Google Font Compress. So if you're using Google Fonts on your website, they can be quite heavy on the website, can't they? So you can compress those to make them smaller file sizes without compromising what the actual font is. So there's tons of plugins just off the top of my head. We should have made some proper notes, but
what's the fun of that?
There will be some more. There will be another video about free, like a mix between free and premium SEO plugins for WordPress specifically.
And if you have any questions in the meantime about anything we've said, and any feedback or any questions that you have specific to your website, happy to receive your email. Drop us a link to your website. Ask us any questions. I'm happy to reply. Matt's happy to reply as well. And give you guys any value. So we'll leave that there for now. And if you have any questions, like I just said, then drop us a message or an email, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Thanks for watching.